Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about The Devil's Mouth, the 2026 Amazon Prime streaming movie. No, this is not a horror movie, but it does deal with a group of young people who are attacked by a shark. So it's kind of like a survival monster type movie type thing, but they're not really like a monster. But I don't consider this really horror. So, I saw the trailer for this probably about a week or so ago. I thought to myself, I don't know how I feel about this. But nevertheless, I wanted to watch it because of the simple fact that 3 stars that I like are in this movie. Catherine Newton, Lana Condor, and Tommy Rose. So, 3 of these actresses, I've seen in other projects before, and, for the most part, I am a fan of theirs and stuff. So I'm all like, you know what? I might as well support them. You know what I'm saying? And so I watched it, and I was actually very thrilled and everything. This is a pretty good movie. It's not perfect, but what streaming movie really is, you know what I'm saying? Amazon Prime streaming movies are actually typically pretty good for the most part. Like they're really watchable and stuff, but they always lack that one thing that could make it perfect. And this movie does lack that one factor that could make it essentially just like a perfect kind of movie. I do appreciate they went for practical effects, actual cave. They're actually in water. They're actually swimming underwater and everything. They do use some CGI when it's needed, like for the jellyfish or sometimes the shark, but sometimes the shark is practical and stuff. And that dead turtle, that sea turtle, yeah, it looks like a foam turtle, but hey, at least they went practical, you know what I'm saying? And so, I can really appreciate that. And so, when it comes to these 3 actresses, I've seen them in plenty of things. I've seen Catherine first in Little Women, and of course the MCU and the Ant-Man movie. She was in that Frankenstein type movie, Lisa Frankenstein or whatever it's called, and she was in Ready or Not too. And so for Lana Condor, I first saw her as Little Jubilee in X-Men Apocalypse all the way back in the day. Then I saw her in that Amazon Prime Ballerina movie, which she seems to be more of a streaming actress, I've noticed, especially when it comes to movies and stuff. Which, hey, get those roles, you know what I'm saying? Now, she was in something called Boo Bitch on that of Netflix back in the day. I've never seen it. I wanted to see it. The trailer didn't impress me. This one clip scene did not impress me. Plus, it kind of gave away a twist. I'm like, well, I just spoiled myself. And plus, a lot of the reviews are bad and everything. So I'm like, I guess I could skip that. But one day I'll check it out. Plus, it has Zoe Castellino, I think her name is. And I'm a fan of hers as well. And so, but I've never seen Lana in none of those movies that made her famous. Something about a boyfriend or falling in love or something like that. I don't know. And as for Tommy Rose, I've only seen her in one thing. It was this show called I Am Frankie on Nickelodeon back in the day. I've already reviewed that. And she was in the second season, but she had to act like an android, so I couldn't really tell too much about her acting. But it's great to see her in another project. She starred in other stuff. I just don't watch that other stuff. And so I figured, you know what I'm saying, hey, I could at least watch it for them. And I'm happy I did, because it's pretty good and everything. Jeff Waldlow, he is the one who directed this. And I didn't know who that was until I looked him up. And I'm just kind of like, man, some of the movies I've seen this dude direct, I don't like. On his TV side, however, I'm much more like, I've seen those things and stuff. So I'm much more like, receptive for those. And so I'm all like, okay, okay. Like your movie side sucks, but your TV thing is pretty good. And when it comes to direct to streaming movies, they're basically like a television show anyway, or like a TV movie. Cause I said before, like direct to streaming is the equivalent of direct to DVDs, direct to home video, TV movies, you know what I'm saying? They used to have a bigger budget back in the day when streaming really took off. But since now streaming sites have gone the cheap route and everything, they barely give people a budget. So this is why I'm not too keen on streaming movies that much. And because sometimes with streaming movies, either the writing sucks, the direction sucks, or the acting sucks. And sometimes, like, that's like the really, 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 really cheap ones and everything. But then sometimes when you have a bit more of a budget, they can be pretty entertaining. But like I said before, every streaming movie I've ever seen always lacked that one thing that could make it so much better. But for the most part, Amazon actually can do a pretty good job when it comes to their streaming movies, unless The Rock's in it, of course. But like, so what exactly is this movie about, and what exactly is that one thing that like is lacking? First, let me just say this. So far on Amazon Prime, it's the number one movie on their site, beating out Masters of the Universe. And Masters of the Universe is at number three currently, and that had a huge budget and came out theatrically and everything. Which goes to show you that movie had problems. Man, I irritated this one guy at the store. I was wearing my He-Man shirt, and so many people loved it, right? And this guy loved it too. He's like, "Did you see the movie?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Did you like it?" I'm like, "No." He's all like, "Well, hold up now. Did you watch the cartoon back in the day?" I'm like, "Yeah." So they're like, "Well, hold up, hold up, hold up. So you watched the cartoon, you're wearing the shirt, but you don't like the movie?" So I simply told him it was just too silly for my taste. So he understood that. But seriously, man, he's older, like 10 years, 15 years older than me and stuff. They get pissed when you don't like that movie, but it's just not that good. So this movie is about a group of like college students. Well, no, actually not necessarily college. They're high school seniors. They're about to go to college. Which somebody once said that they fear that Lana Condor is gonna like get stuck in the teenage role trope. And yeah, it kind of does seem that way. She plays a lot of teenagers, but she's youthful in the face. So keep playing those young roles until you can transition into like an older role. But anyway, it's about like a group of graduating seniors, and they take this trip to like a very foreign locale where they go swimming and go cave swimming and stuff like that. While in the cave, the freshwater cave, a shark appears because there's some sharks that can do saltwater and freshwater. And so, of course, they start dropping like flies. And so they have to survive and avoid the shark. And they're getting like turned around in the cave and going around in circles and stuff like that. So it's very thrilling and everything. And it's very exciting. I would say the best parts of this movie when it kicks up to the part where they realize there's a shark. That's when all the good stuff starts happening. The shark will grab somebody, drag them around, eat them up, stuff like that. It gets stuck between the rocks and it busts its way through, and they are trying to swim and climb and crawl through these rocks, and then it caves in on them, and then one boy gets stuck in like drown. So it really does make your your heart pump, like, oh no, who's gonna survive this? You can kind of guess who's gonna like survive it and who's gonna get picked off left and right in a specific order, because the one thing this movie lacks is character growth and development. That's a problem that a lot of these Amazon Prime movies are having. because they really lack character, um, personalities, character growth, any sort of development. It normally always follows one or two people, and that's about it. In this movie, like there's a group of let's see, five, right? And then the like instructor. The instructor doesn't count, he's just the instructor. But the five group of like young adults, you only really get to know two. And what's going on with their lives and why they matter and stuff. The other three people, Tommy Rose's character and the two boyfriends, not boyfriends as in they're dating each other, but you know, the two girl boyfriends and stuff. One is played by Gavin. How do I say his name? Galvin Casaligno, and that of Nico Hiraga. So those are the two boyfriends, and of course Tommy Rose's character. And they have like they're just there. Like they literally are just there. They don't really have no character traits really. There's no real growth. They try to give one character growth moments before he dies, but it just doesn't work. And what you see is what you get. Like, you know, with Tommy's character, she is just a horn dog and everything. With her boyfriend, played by Gavin, he's just kind of there and kind of goofy in the head, you know what I'm saying? And then with Nico's character, he's also kind of just goofy and kind of just there, but moments before he dies, he gets into an argument and he gets like really serious and he drops some truth bombs on his girlfriend, and it's just kind of like, now you got some character development. It's a little too late for that, because when they die, and trust me, they die, I could care less. And I'm a person who likes Tommy as like, you know, an actress and stuff, but like, the character's just there and she's horny, and that's literally it. Like, she makes out with her boyfriend. She thinks that her boyfriend and the other girl's boyfriend are gonna make out. So she's like, let's watch them see what they're gonna do. But they don't do nothing. And then like they all get naked in like the ocean, but you don't see nothing. And it's just kind of like, that's all there is for her. Like and she gets scared. That's literally it. And that's a real problem when it comes to these Amazon streaming movies, because I reviewed two others before, and it's always normally the same thing. A lack of character development and stuff, and a lack of character traits. Other than what you see is what you get, there's nothing to them and stuff. And it never gives you a reason to care about these people or to feel like they have stakes. So of course they kill them off very quickly, but you could care less. And yes, it's sad and tragic when they die, but you know, it's like, why should I care about you when the writers, and I forget the writer's name, one of them I can't even pronounce, I'm not even gonna try, but like, why should I care if you didn't give me a reason to care for them as you're writing this movie? And as for the two characters that we do get to know, you know, there is some drama going on between them. Friendship drama, like one feels neglected and everything, and feel like that person's never there for them because they're in a relationship and they're going off to college to someplace far away, and she wants her the other character to come with her and be like, hey, but like, I don't know nobody over there in that other state. Like, hey, you don't know me, and that's all that matters and stuff, you know. And so like, it's just one of those things where it's just kind of like a friendship, you know, in turmoil type thing, you know what I'm saying? And so like, I do like that trope, by the way, because Other simple fact, it's a trope that never really gets explained much in television and in movies. The friend who's being neglected because the other friend is off doing other stuff with other people, mainly somebody they're dating. And it's something that happens in real life like a lot. Like a lot and stuff. So a lot of people can relate to that. And I remember there was a situation with me like that in college where it's like there was this one girl I became friends with online, and like we were around the same age. And so her best friend started getting jealous because it's because me and her was hanging out like a lot. And that's normally what happens when you make a new friend. You try to get to know that person and you give a lot of time and devotion to them. Devotion is probably not a word I should use, but you know what I'm talking about. Like a lot of time, I guess, and effort, you know what I'm saying? So that started making her jealous. I'm like, you're always hanging out with him, and and me and you used to have sleepovers and blah blah. Like, okay, you're like 19 years old. Why are you still having sleepovers? So, and then one time there was another situation with me and my friends because one of the worst habits I ever had back in the day is that when I make friends with somebody, I introduce them to my other friends. And if say like they're like a female and I introduce them to another female, because it's two females and they can like relate more, they tend to hang out more and then they completely forgot about me. That has happened at least 2 or 3 times in my life, and I stopped doing that crap. So yeah, I like this trope and everything. It's something a lot of people can relate to. And thank God they didn't go into like the old 80s and 90s trope of like the jock or the hot girl or the nerd or something like that. Cause that's getting so old and tiresome. Now, as for the acting and everything. The acting's pretty good, it's pretty solid. Nobody really does no bad job. But because three characters barely get anything to do, they're just kind of like whatever. Gavin is like forgettable because he's barely in the movie and he's just there to act like the idiot. You know what I'm saying? And same thing with Nico. He's kind of like the same thing. He's kind of like the idiot. They both had them acting kind of like 90s Saved by the Bell, like Valley Boys, you know what I'm saying? Who are like surfer dudes, like the goofy personalities, you know what I'm saying? Tommy's just a horn dog, so whatever. They play these roles well, you know what I'm saying? But it's just kind of like they're just non-existent in the movie. Um, as for that of Lana's character, it's kind of the same character I've noticed she's been playing in a lot of her roles. Either she's been typecast or it just comes naturally for her to act this way. I don't know. But they have her kind of playing like a bit of a valley girl. Just a bit, you know what I'm saying? Which is something I've noticed she plays like a lot, which is funny because she's not even from California. She was a mean Valley girl in like that ballerina movie when she was Jubilee. She was just kind of like the little kid who was kind of Valley like. Um, and here I'm getting, and then what was it that Boo Bitch show? She's not so much Valley, but just a scotch. You know what I'm saying? And so like I've noticed like just the things I've seen her in. That's kind of how she plays, and I would like to see her have more depth and take on other type of roles. You know what I'm saying? Um. There could be a reason as to why she acts this way. I actually never knew this about her because like I've seen her and stuff, but I haven't like really looked her up, so I never really paid attention. So as I'm on Wikipedia, she's Vietnamese, but like she was adopted by a white American couple, And so that could be why she has those traits of like Valley Girlness in her. Because, of course, growing up and being raised, and that's just like, by a white family. So, of course, she's going to exhibit those traits. It doesn't make her no less Asian. And I hope people don't think that about her, but it does explain the reason why these roles she lands and stuff. I guess it comes naturally and stuff, because you are the environment you're in, you know what I'm saying. And it doesn't matter what race you are or what gender you are. If you hang out, like, say you're white but you grow up in the ghetto, in the hood, and you're gonna act ghetto and hoodish, you know what I'm saying? If you're a black and you grow up in an all white neighborhood, you're gonna have those traits of like acting, I guess you could say, like white, you know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean you wanna be it. And I hope people don't give her crap for that. 'Cause I know they give Brenda Song crap like that for a lot. Because Brenda Song always plays like the white valley girl in everything she does. And I remember she was mad because she didn't get cast in Crazy Rich Asians. And a lot of people was in the comment section saying, well, when you play a white girl in everything you're in and you're Asian because you're Hmong and everything, well, ain't no casting director gonna like cast you in no Asian type role, you know. But it doesn't necessarily mean they're less Asian, you know. Now, I did read something. I haven't read it fully. I just read the title because I was looking something up about Lana, and I guess she had to defend herself because she said, I'm 100% Asian and I'm 100% American. So I guess people are giving her crap. I don't know. I hope not. She seems like a lovely person, you know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. But I would like to see her in more projects because I am a fan. And I would like to see her play different types of characters. Now, as for Catherine Newton, now, if you ever heard me review her movies, you know I gush over her a lot. I'm like a huge fan because she has this natural cavalierness to her. She has kind of like this boppiness to her, this like adorable factor to her. And it just comes off so naturally with the quirks she does and stuff like that. Like, she's really good at that, you know. But now I'm starting to notice something because of these last two projects I've seen her in. This movie and Ready or Not 2. And I've noticed that either she's getting typecast or she only has one mode of acting. Because, and I've never reviewed the Ready or Not movies because I just don't like them. Everybody else does. I don't. But like the first thing I saw her in was Little Women. And that's when she just wowed me. You know what I'm saying? Because she has this precociousness to her, you know? This like adorable factor to her, like, you know, this little sassiness, but in an adorable kitty kind of way, even though she always plays teenagers or young adults. But she's precocious, you know what I'm saying? And so she brings that in a lot of her roles. And so then I saw her in Lisa Frankenstein, once again playing that same type of like quirky type character, and precociousness, and and adorableness and stuff like that. And so then she was in the X-Men movies, not X-Men, crap, Ant-Man. And then once again, precocious, but a little bit more serious and sassy with attitude. Then I saw her in Ready or Not 2. And man, she's working out those muscles in the arms, all that, playing golf and everything. Because she plays golf, in case you don't know. And I think she's pretty good from what I heard. But yeah, she's like got the guns in the arms, you know what I'm saying? And so like in that movie I started to notice something. She acts the same way in every project I've seen her in. And I want to see her act differently. I want to see her have growth. I want to see her have depth. I want her to take on more serious type roles and stuff, dramatic roles, because I'm starting to wonder if she's only one note. Because a lot of stars are. Haley Steinfeld, who I like, she's a one note actress, you know. Raven Simone, who I don't like, she's a one note actress, you know, like only has one level of range, you know. And in Ready or Not 2, I was not feeling her acting. Her and Samara Weaving didn't have much chemistry. I didn't buy them as sisters, and not only that, but I noticed in that movie while she was acting her typical gooberish kind of way, she was also acting serious, and it didn't come off very well. Then there's this movie, and I noticed something right off the bat. In the beginning, she is acting like her precocious self. She's scampering away in a kind of like a boppy kind of way. But that's only in the beginning for a few scenes. After she has like the heart to heart with her character has the heart to heart with her friend, her demeanor completely changes. She's more soft spoken, she's slower in speech, she's more serious, she's more downer. Then she gets attacked by a jellyfish, and then for the rest of the movie, she's just kind of blah and very bland. And you can tell she's acting serious now. And it's just like, but it's not only that, but you can tell she's actually acting serious. Like it's not coming off natural and stuff. Like she's trying to be like a completely different person and a completely different character, and it's not working. And she needs to take on more serious roles for it to be more believable. When she's acting all gooberish and cavalier and precocious, it comes off very naturally. I believe that's just who she might be in real life, or she's just really good at playing that. But when I see her in more serious stuff, I'm not connecting the way I should. There's a similar actress who does something like that. Aubrey Plaza. When Aubrey Plaza acts like herself, like when she was in like Parks and Rec, she has a certain way she acts. She's kind of deadpan a little bit, this weird, quirky kind of humor in a deadpan kind of way. Now she's actually having more personality and acting beyond that, and it's not coming off naturally because it's almost like for the first time in her career, she's actually acting. You know what I'm saying? And I'm getting that with Catherine Newton and stuff. Don't get me wrong, I still like her as an actress, but I'm starting to see cracks in her acting now because now she's having to act differently and it's just not coming off convincingly. But yeah, I've been a fan of hers for like years. And there's other movies I've seen her in, like, the Abigail vampire movie. I saw her in Bad Teacher when she was just a kid. That one slasher movie, I forget the name of, where she swaps like bodies with somebody else. And so yeah, I do think she is really good. Like also when she was in that body swap movie, and when she was in like, Bad Teacher, she played a bit more serious type roles, kinda, and she was good in those. But I don't know what's going on lately. It's just something's just not working for me no more like it used to. I love the physicality of this movie, the swimming, the diving, the rock climbing. Like I said before, yes, it is all real. And the actor said, it took a toll on like their bodies and everything. It was like hard work, but they mustered through. And I love that, like they're not taking the easy way out. They're not taking the stunt double route, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's a stunt double here and there, but like they're trying to do as much as possible because in a movie like this, you gotta see people's faces swimming and stuff like that. And there's a lot of swimming going on in this movie. In terms of representation, I am very pleased to see more Asian representation in Hollywood movies. There are like three different races of Asian people. You have that of Lana, who is Vietnamese. You have that of Nico, who is Japanese. And I forget the instructor's name, but he's from like Thailand. I don't know what they're called. Are they called Thai? Are they called Taiwanese? I don't know. I don't know nothing about Thai people, all right? But yeah, it was like, and also there's an Italian dude played by Galvin. So I do love seeing that more representation, especially that of Asian. It would have been nice to throw in some other colors and races up in there, like a Latino, a Native American, or maybe like a black person or something, especially a black person, because every time I see like one of these movies that had to do with like the beach or like swimming or out in the ocean, there's never no black people in these movies. And yes, I know there's the whole stereotype of black people can't swim, and as a black man, I can vouch for that. I go to the beach, I hop in the water, but I can't swim. I just like stand at like the near like the shore level and everything. Um, but even though yes, there is like people of color in this movie, sadly, however, like you don't hear nobody speak, I guess you could say, their native tongue, ancestry tongue, or something like that. Like, it would have been nice just to hear somebody speak in a different language, you know what I'm saying? But you never get that. Let's see. Something else. Oh, and even though, yes, there are like people of color and stuff like that, I hate how they're kind of portrayed to be like more white, I guess you could say. Because I do hate that. Like, they'll have like people of color, but they will write them kind of like a white person. Because, like, the two guys I was telling you, one's Italian, one's Japanese. And they both remind me of like a white surfer dude from like the 90s on, say, like a Saturday morning teen show. Like, ha ha, right, dude, ha. like that, you know what I'm saying? And because like Lana's character uses the old fashioned slang term of totally. When I heard that, I instantly had like 90s flashback. I was born in the 80s, but I was raised in the 90s and stuff. And I just remember being raised in the 90s, even though I had a good chunk of like the 80s, but I was mostly like a kid, you know what I'm saying? I haven't heard the phrase totally since the 90s. And I grew up with that phrase. I used to say that phrase. Why? Because, the shows I watch, like Michelangelo from Ninja Turtles, Saved by the Bell, California Dreams, stuff like that. So when I heard that old slang term, I'm just like, why they haven't her use that old fashioned term that nobody uses no more? And it does remind me of like a Valley Girl and stuff. But then you have the two guys, like I said, who act like surfer dudes and everything, and they're just like goofy, stupid in the head. And with that being said, the Nico character, like, there is one stereotype in slasher movies, even though it's not a slasher or horror movies, when it comes to Asian men that I am personally tired of seeing. And that is, every time I watch like a slasher or a horror movie that has like an Asian male lead, normally, they're the goofy character. They're silly, they're goofy, they act kind of surfer boy like, you know what I'm saying? And I don't understand that. Like, why is that a weird trope? And everything. It's like they act like all silly and goofy, but then somewhere towards the end of the movie, when everybody starts dying, then all of a sudden they act serious, only for them to die. I don't understand that. And I've seen a lot of horror and slasher movies, but you don't get to see a lot of Asian representation in those movies. So when you do, it's very noticeable and everything. the Friday the 13th reboot movie, Whistle. I'm trying to think. There was another one I can't think of right now. But the only time I've never seen that stereotype, well, actually, kinda, yeah, I have, but he actually survived. Is the Hatchet franchise? There are four movies, and there's like an Asian dude in all four movies, played by the same character, well, the same actor. Sometimes he'll play like a different character. Oh, that's my brother, or he'll survive and stuff. So in one movie, his character died, but then in the next movie, he's now playing his brother. And he's pretty hilarious, goofy in those movies. And then, of course, he gets serious towards like the end. It is a weird trope and everything. And I don't understand that. But even though, yes, there is representation, and yes, it's kind of like, hey, we're pretending to be progressive. Why? Because of the simple fact. Only the white girl survives at the end. And she is the final girl. She's the smartest one out the group. And she's the true survivor of the movie. She's the one fighting harder while everybody else is panicking and freaking out. And that's another thing I've been noticing about modern movies, because the whole woke area of Hollywood, as you want to call it, is dying out. And as it's dying out, the Hollywood will still try to trick you into thinking their movie is very diverse and progressive and stuff, because they will add people of color. But then you notice something while you're watching the movie. It's like the white girl is always the main character, and she's always surviving, and she's smarter than everybody else. Even if somebody else like invented a time machine, she's still smarter than everybody else. Like that one movie I reviewed, Totally Killer. I'm all like, okay, the two black girls are like smart and invented a time machine, but the white girl is like the smartest person in the entire movie. Make it make sense. And so I do hate how Hollywood is going back to the good old days, um, of just having that like final like girl who happens to be white and happens to be the smartest out the group. And it's kind of like, couldn't like, Max, the Lana character, couldn't she survive alone with her, or couldn't she survive by herself? Couldn't she like smarten up towards the end instead of panicking and making dumb moves, knowing there's no way for her to survive with a broken hand and everything? It's just irritates me and everything, because it's like Hollywood's kind of like, hey, see, look here, here's your representation, but oh, look, now we got something for the older crowd, the certain group of people who get offended when their people aren't like the heroes of everything. I'm so sick and tired of that. Okay, I'm gonna get into a little bit more of what some of these characters do in the movie, and like what exactly their character plot traits are, and stuff like that. So, like I said before, they are freshly out of like high school, just graduated, and some of them are going off to college. Greg, who is played by Galvin, is just a dorky idiot. Like that's just it. Adrian, played by Tommy, she's just a horn dog, and that's literally it. I really wish they could have gave her character more to do, some depth, something. You know what I'm saying? So now it's kind of like I gotta find another project that she's in and watch that. I know she's in this cheerleader movie on Tubi, and I'm gonna watch that one day. I just keep forgetting because I really want to see, the difference between her acting from this and I Am Frankie. Because this movie, while yes, she was solid, it didn't give me much of anything. James, played by that of Nico. So James is kind of just like Greg. He's just a dorky idiot, loves to have fun, this and that. And for the most part, his character, like I guess like not necessarily growth, but like his character traits don't come until kind of like mid towards the end of the movie once everybody starts dropping like flies and everything. He has an argument with that of Max, basically telling her that you're selfish and all you do is like think about yourself and it's frustrating and it gets on my nerves. And so she gets pissed and like swims off and everything because she wants to go through the honeycombs thinking she can escape that way from the shark. So he basically tells that of like Sarah, I can't let her do this on her own, so he follows her. So basically, as they're like, trying to escape and everything, there's like a cave in, and like Max falls down. So both of them fall down with her to try to save her. But then he gets stuck between some rocks. And he basically tells her, go without me and everything. Just like go without me. Like don't sacrifice yourself without me. While this is happening, both Max and Sarah are going up to this air pocket, getting air and blowing air in his lungs. Now, here's the thing about this. Is this safe or not? I've always been told, like back in the day, that if you're like, say, underwater and you're running out of oxygen, blowing air into somebody's mouth while you're underwater is not a good thing because you're basically blowing carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide in their mouth and everything. Dioxide, not carbon monoxide. My bad. But yeah, carbon like dioxide and everything, and that can kill you. But this happens all the time in like movies. So I don't know if this can save you or not. But they're both doing it, and but it's too much, and he dies. Now he can work on his water dying a bit more. Is it Eva Green or Ava Green? I think it's Eva. She died underwater amazingly in the James Bond movie Casino Royale and everything. He needs to do what she did. Now, this whole kissing back and forth between, or not kissing, but blowing air back into each other's mouths and stuff. See, this is the thing that's kind of odd about these three characters. What exactly is the deal with them? It's something that hasn't really been explained that well in the movie, but you get subtle hints of it. I don't know if the subtle hints is just the way they're talking with the dialogue and the way they're looking at each other. But I wonder if something went on between that of James and that of Sarah behind that of Max's back. Because there are several times all throughout the movie, like Max will be away and it's just Sarah and that of James. And they're talking and they're always looking into each other's eyes and talking about how they care about each other as friends and crap like that. And I'm just kind of like, and it's all throughout I mean, all throughout the movie. I'm just kind of like, did something ever happen between those two and they get cut from like the movie? That would have been an interesting twist and would have gave his character a heck of a lot more to do. But I don't know, man. Like, it's there. You can tell it is there. And it's just always the way they look at each other and always talk. Like, heck, look at this picture they took together. Like, he's more close to her than he is that of Max. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Watt, who's like the instructor and everything, he tries to keep them safe and all this and that. And every time he keeps telling them, look, we gotta go, we can't stay here because stupid, like, Greg is acting like a fool, nearly getting them hurt and everything with the bats and like, messing around with the rocks. And he's all like, if these rocks cave in, they'll kill you and everything. So he tells them, hey, let's go on, but they're too busy bickering with one another and getting scared of the shark. So he literally leaves them and everything. And I'm just kind of like, dude, I'm kind of glad you got ate. You just left them there. Max, played by Lana. It's interesting. She played a similar character in that ballerina movie on Amazon Prime because both of them get like scared out their mind and pretty much just like gives up, and both of them are very selfish. I don't like how she's being typecast, especially on a platform where she's been in two movies. But anyway, she dates James and she's best friends with that of Sarah. She plans on moving to LA after high school and she wants that of Sarah to come with her. But Sarah has reservations. She doesn't really want to like go, but she tells her, look, if you just like, it's just gonna be me, you, like it's all you need. You don't need nobody else. Like we have each other, until like our stars go out or something like that. But we see all throughout the movie when she's too busy drinking, having fun, hanging out with her boyfriend, she neglects that of Sarah, especially Sarah's safety. When she left Sarah out to sea to get attacked by jellyfish, which reminded me of Noah Wells. Ooh, that hurt so bad. May that man rest in peace and get some justice and figure out what the heck happened. But anyway, so she keeps telling like I'm sorry and everything, but I do have your back. But what's the name like doesn't really believe it, but always gives her like the benefit of the doubt. Anyways, when the shark starts to come and everything, of course she's scared like everybody else, but like when she starts to see people die left and right, she starts to take some initiative, talking about we should go through the honeycombs and go through like this trail and we'll be able to like free ourselves from like the cave. But she's acting out of fear and instinct and everything and not really thinking this through. But Sarah's telling her like it's a bad idea, this and that, but she doesn't want to listen. And so when she has the argument with James, she just takes off like a spoiled brat and everything, right? This causes the other two to follow behind, and then James gets trapped between like the rocks. After he dies and she witnesses him die and everybody else, she just completely loses it and everything. She is just in panic mode the entire time, and it's Sarah that has to keep her calm. And so what happens is, Sarah will tell her like, hey, just stay here and everything. Let me do this, like scope something out or like whatever, like, something like that. But she panics and is always following Sarah because she doesn't want to be alone, which, messes up Sarah because, she's trying to concentrate this and that. But when she sees like an entrance, she just wants to go for it, but can't because the shark's coming. But when she screws everything up and breaks her hand and bloodies her hand up, like it really messes up the plan that Sarah had going on and everything. And so when they go into another part of the cave where they see an opening at the top, only Sarah can climb it. Max can't because of her broken arm. Hand and everything. And so she tells Sarah, like, when you escape, like, get me some help and this and that and everything, right? So Sarah's climbing, she sees the opening, and then here comes that of Max. And she's like, what are you doing? You can't climb this thing. You have a broken hand. But Max is just doing it anyway because she's acting out of fear and instinct. But she keeps slipping on the rocks, even though, there's a rope tied around her and that of now Sarah and everything. Well, needless to say, here comes the shark, and she falls directly into his mouth. And he drags both of them because they're both attached to a rope. Sarah, played by Catherine. So, when the movie starts off, like I said before, she's happy, she's boppy until she has that heart to heart with that Max. The whole movie is really about the relationship between that of Max and that of Sarah. There are times where I kind of think they're gonna pull a Xena Gabrielle on us and have those two be closeted, only because of the way they talk to each other and what they say to each other. And they do kiss, but it's more like a kiss on the forehead. But that's about it. But like, it's one of those things that Sarah, is always there for Max, but Max is apparently now just not always there for her. The thing about Sarah is she is very smart and everything, and very capable. Now, the one of the first like horrors of like this movie is the jellyfish attack. That really had me. Like the first instance I've ever heard of a jellyfish was in that Friends episode where Monica stepped on one and it stung her and everything, and they had to pee on her because there's like ammonia in it and stuff. And so, like, when they start swarming her, and they swarm the crap out of her, they are just attacking her legs. And so the thing is that when the captain of the boat, when he asked, is everybody on board, and where's like Sarah, and she's all, and Max is all like, oh, she's in the restroom. But it's for Adrian to come in and be all like, where's Sarah at? And then, we don't see the rescue. We just see the next scene of Sarah on the boat and her legs are mangled, bloodied, and stuff like that. And so, you have that of Max apologizing and all this and that. And like a fool, Sarah's gonna like forgive her. Like, you know what I'm saying? During the shark attack, it is Sarah who's trying to figure out ways to get out of there, remembering stuff, and like using tools to help them navigate. She's really good at like diving and knows a lot about diving and caves and air pockets and things like that, right? And so, like, she even has to use like her knife and try to like bust open the rocks trying to free that of James. Personally, I just would have said screw it and try to fight that shark with the knife. I mean, yeah, it's gonna open its mouth, but I know his nose, if you hit it hard enough, it will go away. Maybe if you can stab it in the nose or just keep stabbing it. I mean, you're gonna get bit, you're gonna get killed, but just go out fighting, man. Whatever. Be a stupid man and die. But like, yeah, so and of course she has to keep like that of Max like calm, but Max never wants to listen and stuff. And I love how resilient she is. She uses the flare to like trick the shark and coming her way because she knows Max is bleeding and Max is acting a fool and making too much noise. And she throws the flare in his mouth and it burns like the shark. She sees the shark jumping in the air trying to get the fish, not fish, but the bats. I did not know sharks can jump. I don't know if that's real or not. I know a whale can, but I don't know about a shark. She has to use the rope as a pulley because Max can't climb her way out, but she's trying to, and she's able to see that down below is nothing but rocks and like um whatchamacallem and nothing but ocean, so there's no way Max is gonna be able to get down there that way. But here's the craziest thing, right? She has a plan. Once the tide comes in, she'll be able to climb her way out and like swim and get help and stuff, right? And she decides, I'm just gonna leave that of Max, only for Max to wake up and be all like, this isn't my fault. None of this is my fault and everything. You can't leave me. But it's a dream sequence. I'm like, oh my God, she's dreaming of leaving Max. I'm like, where did this come from? This is completely left field and everything. But then when like the shark grabs that of Max and takes her under, and of course they're tied to the rope, so Sarah goes under. I see her pull her knife out. I'm like, no, she's not gonna do that, is she? I'm like, please just fight the shark instead with the knife and go out fighting. Nah, she takes the knife and cuts the rope and just leaves Max to get eaten. I'm like, the shark grabbed Max by like the leg. It could have just took her leg. There's still hope she could have survived. You know what I'm saying? But nah, she just said, screw you, I'll sacrifice you, and I'm gonna live. She don't say that, but that's what you're thinking in your head, you know what I'm saying? Then only for her to climb that of like the rocks, make it outside and see two boats in the water. For her to throw her hands up in the air and scream in excitement because she is the survivor. A victory scream. I'm like, what the what? All of your friends just got ate. Your best friend just got ate and you let her get eaten. And now she's celebrating because she's the sole survivor. As blood is just dripping down her face and body. I'm like, what the heck kind of ending is this? Like, this is a screwed up ending with a twist that kind of came out of nowhere. All this talk about you abandoning me and we're doing this together and we can't let each other like go through this alone, only for her to sacrifice her friend and be the sole survivor. I do not like this ending. I don't like it whatsoever. And I waited after the end of the end credits to see if this could be like a dream sequence or see if just like Max would pop up alive or something like that. But no. Now, as for the shark, what about it? Well, Sarah remembered, because she remembers everything about all these different compartments of the cave and everything and the map. She remembers that they're in a room where if you mess around with the rocks, that, it can cause like a cave in and you can die. So she starts chipping away at the rocks and then she tries to get the shark's attention by dangling her feet in the water, but it's not taking the bait. So she gets some of her blood and she tosses it in the water. Now it's finally coming. So she's on a rope. She's waiting for it to come. She's waiting for it. And when it leaps in the air to eat, well, first it like bangs its head on like the rocks and everything, right? And like dislodging them a little bit. Then when it jumps in the air to get her, she drops and it bangs his head so hard that the rocks collapse and impales it and killing the shark. And that was some pretty cool CGI. But like I said before, I still can't believe she cut the rope when her friend was gone. Like, she don't know if the thing got ate. She didn't know if her friend got ate or not. But you do see her upset and banging her head up against the rock. Maybe because she feels guilty. So yeah, I do recommend this movie. I think it's pretty good. If it ever comes on DVD, which I doubt because it's an Amazon Prime movie, I would totally buy this and everything. There's a reason why it's number one. It's just sadly it does lack character development. You know what I'm saying? And that's just like how it is. It's just something weird about these streaming movies, especially on Amazon Prime, where they tend to lack that one ingredient that makes it perfect, you know? But yeah, when they're swimming around, when they're climbing rocks, when they're like crawling through like corridors and everything, you do feel that intensity because you know for a fact that shark is after them. There's always reasons for them to get cut and banged up and everything. And like for the shark to smell blood in the water, say like, ah, crap. Something's always like collapsing or like falling down or trapping them. And like I said before, they're going around in circles. And I thought the outcome was gonna be a little different. I thought like both Max and Sarah was gonna. Max is played by Lana, by the way, and Sarah's played by Catherine. I really thought they were both gonna survive this movie, but like they didn't. You know what I'm saying? And I'm really shocked and surprised that both of them didn't survive, but only one survived. And I still don't like that ending. Like there's some twists, you know, like I said before, and it's just I was shocked. I was shocked because nothing really led up to that twist, but other than that dream sequence, but that's about it. So it's kind of like, uh-oh, what is she thinking about? And I really thought they both gonna survive. One was gonna lose a limb, but nah, that shark got them, man. And also, what was terrifying was that jellyfish scene. I kind of wish the movie was all about jellyfish trying to get them, because that was insane and everything. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.